My final guest has been the host of more TV shows than most people have had hot TV dinners. Tonight he's promoted to the status of guest. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome, indeed, please say hello, good evening and welcome to Sir David Frost. Sir David.
Thank you very much indeed. Great to see you.
You've certainly learned how to be a guest. You've brought your book on already.
Well, just in case you haven't got one, I was just showing, in fact, oddly enough, the reference in there to Gore Vidal.
Yes.
Because we did a show called Frost Programme in which he was taking on, he was against birching. And Sir Cyril Osborne, who was very strong in favour of birching, almost everybody, and he was really in favour of it. Sir Cyril Osborne was said to be the only man who called up the speaking clock just to hear it say at the third stroke. And Gore took him on and was tremendous with him, but afterwards, in the green room afterwards, Gore was kicking himself and he said, I've just thought of what I should have said. I should have said, I'm in favour of birching, but only between consenting adults.
What's going on here? He did your interview and now you're doing his. Now, I started with your catchphrase, hello, good evening and welcome. It's a sort of strange catchphrase because it doesn't really say anything, does it?
Bewildering. And the key thing is about catchphrase, I mean, it's just like good afternoon becoming a catchphrase, really. I mean, it's ridiculous.
Well, that was later in your career.
Yeah, of course. I'm working towards good night and farewell. And I mean, the thing is, catchphrases really are invented by the public. They seize on to things. You know, you can't pick them and so on. And Mike Yarwood always took the credit for hello, good evening, welcome to coming, because I would say what I conceive to be quite normally, hello, good evening and welcome. And he would say, hello, good evening. And then the next impersonator would impersonate him. And so they go, hello, good evening. And by the fifth generation, it was really troublesome.
Yes. It's still not that normal when you do it. Now, you epitomise a certain sort of natural development in things. People start off as rebels, iconoclasts, attacking the system, and then they get absorbed by the establishment. You started off as fronting the most rebellious programme on TV at the time, that was the way it was, and now you're Sir David Frost, you're married to the daughter of the Queen or something, I mean, you are now very much part of the establishment. I mean, is that how you intended it to go? Did you always want to be Sir David?
I don't think... Well, there was nobody in 1970, so I suppose I confronted it then for the first time, really. But I think the thing is that the establishment, I mean, lightly one says there's no establishment or I haven't joined the establishment, it's joined me or whatever, because I don't think the establishment exists in the way it did then. I don't think the establishment means anything today, except possibly, you know, going to the right public school or something. It may get you better seats at the Hunt Ball or something like that, but it's not going to get you a job with Hat-Trick Productions or anything like that, you know. So I just don't think it counts anymore.
Work for me, but you said the establishment joined you, but you're very much part of it. You know, you go to the cricket and share a box with John Major. You know, the one you sit in all that time.
Yeah.
But you are. I mean, and as I've mentioned your knighthood and so forth, and you've always been friends with the big knob, no, the important people, the movers and shakers.
You get to know, like you get to know, lots of the people you interview, and they become warm acquaintances or friends.
No, they all hate me afterwards, as you're going to discover.
No, I can't believe it. Gore Vidal was positively benign about you out there just now. And Mandy thinks you're terrific too. So, I mean, it's all perfect for you. No, I think you do get to know.
You'll be coming through my keyhole in a minute, won't you?
What I would like to do is to be able to launch into a Lloyd Grossman impersonation, but I can't do one. Can you?
I don't think anybody can do that.
Not even Lloyd.
I think Gore Vidal might have a stab at it, but, but
why
would he want to?
No, I mean, the thing, of course you end up with a wider range of acquaintances and so on. But I mean, you still enjoy making people laugh, hopefully deliberately, like at lunch the other day or whatever. One's still a reformer and all of those things. But of course, you know a lot more people, and hopefully over the years you develop a bit too.
Well, now the other thing welcoming you here is a strange thing, because we're here in London Weekend Television Studios, which you virtually built because you set up LWT, didn't you?
Yes, that was incredibly exciting. That was back in 1967, and then
I always want to ask you something about that. Could you fix the shower in my dressing room, which is...
Which number is it? But no, I mean, in fact, I remember there were great, talking of little things like that, I remember in the early days of London Weekend, there was a great fuss. One of the people was going to stop people on the 17th floor. This was out at Stonebridge Park, Wembley, the early studio. Dreadful building. Frank Muir called it the Florence of NW10, but I mean, it wasn't really. And it was hideous, and there was suddenly a huge fuss because the people on the 17th floor were using twice as much toilet paper as people on the other floors. And so the deputy manager...
Frightened of the view, probably.
Yes, sent out a note saying, if this continues, you will be given on the 17th floor only Bronco.
Yeah.
And then it was found out that the reason was that there were twice as many people on the 17th.
Oh, right.
Simple problem.
Bronco,
like
that's the make of lavatory paper, not the TV series, obviously.
Exactly, that's the same name.
Yeah. Now, after you did LWT, not LWT, that was the week. You
all
then,
these initials.
Yes, you got into a period of your career where you were doing 3 programmes a week in England and 5 programmes a week in America, and you're flying between the two.
That's right, courtesy of British Airways. I mean, one of the things I mentioned in the book
Still
is absolutely true.
Yeah,
well, you're still using them.
Yeah, well, you've done that.
Their planes get faster and faster. But I mean, on a Monday morning at 11 a.m, every Monday, going over to do 5 shows in the States by Thursday and then to come back here and do 3 on the weekend, etc. And that was when I had the best apology I've ever had, which was when a steward came up and said, looking very, very apologetic, and said, "I'm very sorry, Mr. Frost. I'm afraid it's caviar again."
Yeah.
Sweet.
But what were you doing it for? All that drive and ambition, which everyone's always noted about you, were you doing it for the money, for the fame, the air miles? What was the...
God damn it, this is one of the sadnesses of my life, one of the most important sadnesses of my life, is that if those air miles and things had been going in those days, I would now have won a free trip to Pluto or something.
Hey, it's the sadness of all our lives.
Yes. Well, I want to warn you, if you ever quote that joke, I once made the mistake and picked out a planet called Uranus, and it makes the joke very unacceptable. Unacceptable joke.
A free trip to Uranus is a difficult thing. Yeah. Now, one factor I did learn from your book is that as a young man, you almost played for Nottingham Forest.
That's absolutely true, yes, yes. They came along to a football match where I had a rather golden spell and scored 8 goals.
Yes.
And they offered me a contract. And in fact, I mean, very exciting, particularly since I love soccer, but I was about to go to Cambridge. They had that maximum, not a minimum, maximum wage in those days of £15 a week. And a year or 2 ago, when I was playing for the Lord's Taverners in a match before the Cup final at Wembley, I thought, well, I think I chose the best way to get to Wembley, you know, through television rather than on merit.
Do you think you would have been tempted, had there not been the maximum wage, you would have... You'd have been tempted to go for the trial?
I don't know. No, because of Cambridge. And I mean, but the terrible thing, I once did a documentary about Darlington, who were the 92nd team in the league, and I was at this point I was 35, and Ralph Brand, the manager, former Scottish star, was 34.
Yes.
And he said to me in part of the interview, he said, you know, he said, most average professional footballer's life's about 8 years, and I really think when a footballer came to hang up his boots, it would be kinder if he was taken out and shot.
Yes. Right. They're thinking about it for the England team, I think.
Oh, this is Graham Taylor time.
Yeah,
yes,
you could
Norman
be Graham
Tebbit.
Taylor.
Yeah, Norman Tebbit told me that he thinks Graham Taylor should be made Prime Minister because he can't think of anyone better qualified to get us out of Europe.
OK, we'll end there. That's all we've got time for. Just time for me to thank Mandy Smith-Corbier and today was me, Clive. Good night. Good night.